Another issue this film had was they were trying to incorporate too many people with no explanation, no exposition of why and how they are there.
Like in the last one, they tried to please everybody in as far as like character appearances, and like in the last film, a lot of times it's just not necessary.
This movie is proof that you can't just make a movie out of cheap Easter eggs.
There was a film producer sitting on the sideline somewhere saying, well, we gotta have this character, and we gotta have this character, and then we gotta have this character, and we've gotta have this character because fans love them, and we don't want to upset the fans. Well, you failed because fans were plenty upset by this abortion.
You're filling the screen with like countless faceless, like just nobody, quote unquote ninjas. They got like ninja masks and no shirts on. These guys are nothing.
They work in a lot of characters into the movie, but that can also be problematic.
It's the same problem with X-Men 3 and Wolverine Origins. You can't just slap a bunch of recognizable characters into a crap fest with zero explanation and expect people to cheer.
And you're filling the screen with all these characters from the game that are just, there's no reason for them to be there.
They're just forcing all these different characters in, and a lot of times they don't really do anything or add anything to the plot or the story.
And while some characters have nothing to do, at least they felt like they had a purpose.
It's not like the MCU when they worked up to the Avengers.
And in this case, like the cast is so weird. I mean, you've got like I said, you got the Cyber Lin Kuei. Melina's in this. Jade. It's like, yeah, okay, cool. Shiva. Well, all right. I would personally have preferred Kintaro just because I always liked the tiger stripe furry version of Goro. Thought he was cool.
Shiva just looks awful. And she's got like this crappy looking red latex leotard, which belongs in like a porn parody of this movie.
But I'm cool with that. If you want to use a Shokan, like you can use a Shiva, that's fine.
We have our Earth Realm warriors, Liu Kang, Kitana, Sonya, Johnny Cage, and Raiden. We see Motaro, Ermac, Shiva, Rain.
This movie was a way to show off characters and names from all of the games out so far. So we get a throwaway kill of Rain. I think General Rain.
I do appreciate that Rain, the purple ninja, is a throwaway joke, just like he was in the games. And he gets killed off immediately. He's, a prince from Edenia because Purple Rain. Get it? Purple. His name's Rain and he's purple.
And then mention a Cable and Striker. And then terrible introduction of Nightwolf.
But then they get into I guess they felt they had to have ninjas, and they used Rain and Ermac. Rain makes sense. He's tied to Edenia like Kitana is, but
Ermac is just dumb. There's no build up to him, no explanation of his powers or backstory, and he just looks like all the other ninjas except Red.
Man, I don't know. That's reaching really deep. That's just going like, we'll just throw another ninja in there.
Like Shiva and Ermac and Rain. They just felt like henchmen and lackeys.
Nightwolf really doesn't do much. Rain doesn't do anything but get killed by Shao Kahn. Shiva actually looked quite impressive. The special effects for her, big step up over the Goro puppet, but with the amount of special effects going into her, I believe that's why she did not get any real fights or a lot more screen time.
So these characters kind of just pop into the story for like no explanation, no real purpose for being there. They're in terrible fights, and then they usually just kind of die. And it's like, all right, next.
I mean, if there's ever been a character or background character in the games, it's in this movie.
Like, my God!
How did Liu Kang get to Utah?
I guess if there was one little sliver of something good in this film, it would be the actor Lightfoot as Nightwolf.
Liu Kang finally finds Nightwolf, who has a very brief appearance in the movie.
Nightwolf is a straight-up 60s greaser with Kiss makeup.
This dude looks like he walked straight out of the video game and does a decent enough job with the material he's given.
Who's basically a Native American stereotype and potentially one of the worst Mortal Kombat characters of all time. Up there with Stryker. Man, Mortal Kombat 3 was not the best game for new characters.
Which I have to totally admit, upon first glance, he looked like Quentin Tarantino with makeup. I don't know why, but yes, that's what I thought of the whole time.
Nightwolf rambles on about animalities and dreams or something.
It's my animality. Oh, God. At least they used a Native American actor for that. It's actually the same guy from Indian in the Cupboard.
Nightwolf, by the way, is played by Lightfoot. He was the star of the Indian in the Cupboard, and he's also apparently a rapper.
It's nothing more than a glorified cameo, but at least it's important to the story for whatever that is.
Starts to talk to Liu Kang about animality and how he needs to master it to defeat Shao Kahn.
We did see animalities. Kind of. We did see Nightwolf do his.
To achieve the mindset needed to acquire the animality, Nightwolf tells Liu Kang that he must pass 3 tests. First test is a trial of self-esteem, courage, and focus.
And then knocks Kang out with a spirit axe or something. I'm not quite sure.
And then he just hits him in the face with his green tomahawk and knocks Liu Kang out.
But, he does have the ability to put Liu in a peyote dream so he can learn his inner animal. So that's a plus.
We get some weird, trippy sequence with flashbacks to a better movie.
That apparently, somehow, was test number 1.
Nightwolf gets Liu Kang high and takes him on a peyote fever dream spirit quest, where he psychedelically hallucinates about how he's failed everyone in his life, and he's never going to get laid again, and then psychosexually cockblocks himself so hard that it manifests into an Asian woman who beats the shit out of him. It's kind of Freudian.
The second test comes in the form of temptation, which is Jade.
Jade and her sexuality need to calm down.
Someone needs to get this man a girlfriend.
Liu Kang is taken.
Wait, why is it snowing all of a sudden? How long was he knocked out?
Liu Kang fights Jade for some reason.
And then Jade appears. Wait, why is she not wearing any clothes?
We also get Jade.
The mysterious warrior that attempts to seduce Liu Kang to make him forget about Kitana.
And then she takes off more of her clothes? They're both going to freeze to death, and I couldn't give a shit if I tried at this point.
I'm really confused as to what Liu Kang's greatest trial is.
Which he, of course, resists.
Is it his purity of heart, or is it his physical prowess?
Okay, this fight scene isn't that bad.
The fights actually weren't too bad. I don't know if everyone's going to agree with me here, but I feel like the fights were still pretty solid.
The filming on this is weird. I don't know if it's like a weird blue-purple filter over the camera or if they added in this blue in post as part of like a color correction process, but it looks weird and I don't like it.
It was terrible.
Yeah, the wire work made it a little weird, kind of gave it like a stop-motion Mortal Kombat feel in a lot of them.
And then the soundtrack budget was also used up, so they played very bad EDM the entire time.
Wait, is this music from The Matrix? Pretty sure this track was in one of the Matrix sequels. Maybe it was the Animatrix.
What was the third test? We don't know.
It's never really explained and none of it really matters anyways.
It probably was cut out of the movie.
I kind of like Jax and Sonya in this. They have fun interactions together.
The actor does a good job and he has some funny lines, but between him and Sonya playing off each other, they feel less like characters and more like a sitcom routine.
Jax, who at one point, where Sonya is bemoaning the loss of Johnny, who, she apparently loves after just one kiss less than 4 days ago. And Jax is like, who the hell is Johnny? That was a cool line.
The merger of the realms is almost complete. Sonya, you keep talking about mergers and realms and all that, but it don't mean squat to me, alright?
Jax is likable, and I think new Sonya is an upgrade over Veronica Vaughn.
Actually, Sonya is terrible with what she says in this movie.
Sandra Hess is a slightly better actor. She's capable of performing more than one facial expression. She gets some good lines, and they give her a few good kills. They also got her a stunt double that looks like she actually knows how to fight. The stunt double's name is Nikki Berwick. This was her first film, but just to tie the Podcasters Assemble family together, Nikki Berwick went on to do stunt work in every James Bond movie from Die Another Day until today.
Sonya and Jax get split up.
There were others who were downright shoved in with absolutely no explanation whatsoever. Case in point, Melina.
And then out of nowhere, Melina shows up. Kinda.
She comes from out of nowhere and attacks Sonya, all for the sake of a fight.
I mean, it's supposed to be Melina, I guess?
And then Melina attacks Sonya, which it pretty much just comes down to a mud wrestling match.
And what makes it even worse is when Sonya looks at this masked individual and says, Kitana? She looks nothing like her at all.
She looks like the Pink Ranger.
Furthermore, the filmmakers could have easily had Talisa Soto play this role since Melina's supposed to be her twin. At least one thing in this movie would have made sense.
And she gets punked out super easily.
Sonya defeats Melina.
So Sonya defeats what's-her-face in the mud.
I swear, this looks worse than the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. It's not a high bar.
We get some Sonya Blade mud wrestling, then Super Reptile shows up for a sec and gets punched a bunch.
And then immediately gets attacked by what appears to be No Name from Hulk's Gladiators.
Immediately after Sonya defeats Melina, this random rock demon appears and is about to eat her, and then Jax shows up and starts punching it in the ass.
At least those stupid arms are good for beating up on some random-ass crappy CG dragons, I guess.
Out of all the things you wanted to reprise in Mortal Kombat 1 for the sequel, I don't think the computer-generated reptile was the right decision.
It's the other big sin of this movie. You know, you've got a movie that's just about, like, beating up monsters at this point. Just beating the shit out of bad guys and monsters. That's all it really should be. And the fighting is really bad.
He punches it so hard, it just falls back down into the ground and disappears.
Yeah, and then Jax just takes him out straight away.
Was this the worst CGI of the movie and special effects? I don't know. Maybe, but there's at least one more contender.
Also, how did Sonya clean up? Like, I get some movies, particularly at this time, are like, yeah, someone was wet and now they're dry, or they were like a little bit dirty and now they're pretty much clean. But Sonya was like straight up muddy, like literally head to toe, and she's clean. What? Do Jack's arms have like a shower in them?
Again, though, the interesting casting is also a curse.
So Raiden comes back, and it ain't exactly Gandalf the White riding to save the army at Helm's Deep.
Holy Gandalf the White, Raiden giving up his immortality to fight, which does seem dumb overall. I mean, you could do more as a god. But him wearing hip-hop pants and cutting his hair is literally the worst. I understand they did it so they could use stunt actors for Raiden, but you can see the stunt doubles in half the shots, and it doesn't look anything like James.
Raiden goes to the Elder Gods and sacrifices his immortality, then has a heart-to-heart with the other Earthrealm characters, talking about family like this is a Fast and the Furious movie.
Liu Kang, Jade, Sonya, Jax, Raiden all meet up at the Elder Gods temple.
Jax says to Jade, "You got an incredible set of legs. For kicking, I mean."
I do love the line when Sonya's like, "You lost Kitana and you picked up her?"
We find that Raiden is giving up his powers to become mortal.
Raiden for the video games was based on Big Trouble in Little China, so that's always how I see Raiden. But then Lambert was so fun and dorky and goofy, but this is definitely not what I want.
But he has enough power left to bring them to Outworld.
This, like, full-size army of extras in armor marching up to Petra actually looks pretty badass. I don't know why this doesn't fit into the story in any way, but it does look cool. And just with Shao Kahn at the head of it, I kind of want this to be like a Beastmaster Conan the Barbarian kind of movie, right? I would be super down. Like, Bryan Thompson can stay, he's owning this. Him in the big fur cloaks with this giant army behind him, fighting I want them to be fighting a dude with a sword, though, you know?
Hey, do you remember how I mentioned Sindel being a siren earlier? Well, she's a siren here too. Typecasting.
Liu Kang is able to sneak into the temple where Kitana is being held prisoner.
Baraka shows up, I guess.
Speaking of terrible, let's talk about Baraka for a second.
He is attacked by Baraka, or at least three Tarkatan warriors.
Swinging on some chains or something.
I don't know if any of them are actually Baraka or not.
I've legitimately seen fan costumes 10 times better than this that cost them maybe like $100, $200 tops.
I guess they look as good as they can for the 90s.
Baraka with some terrible prosthetics but cool arm blades.
The Baraka outfits and fight are so bad.
Oh my god, Baraka looks so shitty.
This looks so terrible.
How?
I mean, Jesus. I don't know if it's going to give me nightmares or if it's just I'm going to laugh about it for the next 20 years. But sweet Jesus, this is so terrible.
So Liu Kang's stunt double for the Baraka fight is Tony Jaa. If you haven't seen Ong Bak or Ong Bak 2, Tony Jaa is amazing. He's a great actor. He's a great martial artist. And I'm a huge Tony Jaa fan. That's all I really have to say about this fight sequence.
After Liu defeats the Tarkatan warriors and frees Kitana, Shiva then shows up, but doesn't get to fight anybody. They drop the cage on her and kill her character. We get to Outworld, and our heroes are attacked by 3 reptiles and Sindel.
Did everyone see the Earthrealm buildings making their way to Outworld?
We see the Golden Gate Bridge, the World Trade Center, and the Eiffel Tower photoshopped into a crappy hellscape.
Now, were there people in those buildings? Or in the cars on the bridge? Did they die? Or did they get out of the car in Outworld? I mean, the Twin Towers made their way over. Is that how we lost them in this universe?
And then my other favorite fight, for no other reason than it made me belly laugh, was that Raiden, and I don't remember who it was he was fighting against. I know I just watched it, but I can't bring myself to go back and do it again. But they stood off and they were getting ready to fight, and then he does a nice little high kick and a spin, but he misses, right? But then the person Raiden's fighting does a spin kick and he misses, and then Raiden spin kick. Like, I belly laughed. They perfectly missed each other gloriously.
And I didn't realize this until now, but one of the Tarkatan warriors and one of the reptiles was Ray Park from Star Wars Episode 1, Darth Maul, the Headless Horseman from Sleepy Hollow, and Toad from X-Men.
So Ray Park is in this movie. He played Darth Maul and Snake Eyes in the G.I. Joe movies. He does stunt work for Raiden. He's the one doing all of the flipping and spin kicking the air repeatedly without hitting anything.
I had no idea he was in Mortal Kombat Annihilation. Ray Park, you get out of this unscathed. I would consider that a flawless victory for your career.
We get more slow-mo backflips.
And, they were each kind of like showing off. Oh, you can kick high? Oh, I can kick high too. I can do that too. Oh, you can do that too? Let's see how long we can do this until we're both like, and just the, of course, the sound effects. I don't know.
Raiden is able to defeat the 3 reptiles.
Katana gets rescued, but then Liu Kang gets cockblocked by Lady Goro. He responds by crushing her unceremoniously into a crushing machine.
I'm not sure how much more of this I can take. Same, bro. Same.
Jax and Jade defeat Sindel off screen. And I forgot to mention this before, every time an agent of Shao Kahn is beaten, an Ender Dragon tattoo leaves their body and then flies away. I didn't know Minecraft was a thing back during Mortal Kombat Annihilation. Sonya notices the same Ender Dragon tattoo on Raiden's shoulder as the one that flew off of Mileena after she was defeated. Raiden goes into detail that it is a family crest that he and Shao Kahn and any of his disciples apparently have, which means that he and Shao Kahn are in fact brothers.
Wait, you're telling me that Raiden and Shao Kahn are brothers? What? That doesn't make any goddamn sense. Raiden's a god. He's a thunder god from Earthrealm. He didn't even have a human form until the tournament.
At one point, Raiden is explaining the temporary tattoos all the bad guys have, and he's like, I'm part of the family of Shao Kahn, and she's all snarky like, would have been nice to tell us earlier.
None of this is canon.
Sonya, in real time, you just finished the Mortal Kombat tournament about 6 days ago. You didn't know gods existed. Don't be snarky.
It's like they're trying to do a crappier version of the Skywalker saga with all this family drama bullshit. It takes away so much of the epicness if it's just a family squabble. I mean, sure, it works for Star Wars, but Mortal Kombat has its own badass mythology.
And then we do human ritual sacrifice on Elvira to make her good again.
Sindel starts laughing.
So many evil laughs.
She starts doing a spinning around Wonder Woman move, and she flies off into the sky.
Except, nope, she was evil this whole time, and so's Jade, and now we enter the 3rd act of Liu Kang dealing with his dry spell. Now he must team up with the girl he wants to bang in order to fight the physical manifestation of his sexual anxiety.
So, I kind of like this actress. She's apparently a Russian model, but her character's story arc makes zero sense. Jade starts out as a random naked lady tempting Liu Kang, and then reveals that it was a test, only to betray everyone later on, but then at the last second she grows a conscience and gets killed by a crappy CGI stone dragon? Okay.
Oh wait, never mind. Jade got eaten.
Liu Kang, Katana, Jax, and Sonya are all able to reunite together before the final battle of Shao Kahn, Botaro, Sindel, and Ermac.
So continuing on this trend of the movie being basically Pink Floyd's The Wall for Liu Kang, he now has to watch Raiden get punked and die.
Raiden shows up just before the final confrontation, trying to convince Shao Kahn to stop, but ultimately Raiden is killed because he is now mortal.
Now remember that Liu Kang's entire family is monks that worship Raiden as a god, and you just had to watch him whine about his dad and then get flawless victoried by a dude after calling him a pathetic coward.
This whole ending looks like a crappy stage show.
We then begin the final fight with everyone pairing off. Kitana against Sindel,
I'll take my mother.
Jax against Motaro,
Mr. Ed is mine.
Sonya against Ermac,
Leftovers are fine with me.
and Liu Kang against Shao Kahn.
That just leaves you and me, Con.
So throughout this whole movie, Jax has had zero fighting skill. If he couldn't punch it, he couldn't win against it.
Why does Jax have metal arms in this one? They never really explain it. At least in the games, I think he loses his arms and has to have them replaced. Robotic prosthetics make sense, but I assumed he had at least had his arms paralyzed.
Anyway, turns out he didn't need the arms either. Like, he was stronger than robot arms that he slides on.
Turns out, nope, he was just a lazy wanted robo arms to do shit for him.
As soon as he takes his arms off, he starts flipping, kicking, all kinds of shit. Like, where was this earlier, dude?
It also gave me a fun trip because I had this moment of why in the world do I know Jax? And I had to look it up. And oh my God, Saber from American Gladiators.
Fun fact, Jax was Saber on American Gladiators. He's acting here with 40 pounds of metal on his arms, and Motaru was Malibu on American Gladiators.
I will say, I gotta give him credit for Motaro, the centaur dude played by Darren McBee, aka Malibu from American Gladiators. He doesn't always look that great. There's definitely some truly terrible shots where he's making some weird faces, but overall his design isn't as bad as it could have been.
We got a gladiator on gladiator combat here.
Like good times through old, I don't know, trip down memory lane.
It's just too bad the movie around him looks like shit.
Why they used Ermac here instead of Scorpion, I don't know. Scorpion clearly was working for Shao Kahn as he delivered Kitana to him. Sub-Zero originally said he showed up to help Kitana, so maybe that was part of the original fight, was to also have Sub-Zero and Scorpion square off, and then it was just rewritten and forgotten about.
So Jax uppercuts a centaur in the dick, Kitana kicks her mom in the head a bunch, and then Sonya Blade Huracan Rana's a ninja.
This could have been cool. It should have been cool. But it's just not.
But this is Lu's story.
Liu Kang versus Shao Kahn.
So now Lu has to confront the man who embodies his failures in love, family, and faith. Shao Kahn has killed the physical manifestation of Lu's anxieties. His anxieties with his family and his duty to worship this god of lightning, his faith of believing in Raiden, his own sexual shortcomings manifested in the character of Jade. Shao Kahn has now killed all of these things and assimilated them into one person who is now calling Lu a pathetic, weak loser and pulling him around by his hair.
And while this is a PG-13 film, we obviously can't have fatalities. I mean, the first film cleverly found a way around that, which was cool. No pun intended.
The biggest dumb thing was all the finishers they shoehorned into this travesty of cinema.
And just when you think it can't get worse, it does.
It's impossible to take any of this even remotely seriously because of how awful it looks.
But instead, this film opts to use one of the more ludicrous aspects of the games, the animality.
And speaking of awful, like, are we really going to go to Liu Kang turns into a dragon?
Finally, Liu Kang unlocks his animality and turns into a very bad CGI dragon.
Oh, yep. Yeah, looks like we are.
Liu Kang pulls an animality and turns into a crappy CG dragon. Not like we've had enough of those yet.
Animalities. Ugh.
And I guess I should thank them for at least attempting to explain the soul-searching journey Liu Kang must take before unlocking his animality.
Shao Kahn, in turn, transforms into his animality, a Hydra.
While low-rent Billy Zane turns into an even crappier CG Hydra.
Seriously, Jurassic Park came out in 1993. They could have borrowed some of the costumes, because at the end of this movie, we get a flying Godzilla versus Ghidorah, and it's terrible.
He gathers up his energy and becomes a dragon, the physical manifestation of what everyone in his life believes he should be. Yet his enemy responds by becoming a Hydra, many dragons, and continually tells him that he's not good enough. Now we get the final beast battle section of Pink Floyd's The Wall.
The CG is hysterically bad. I mean, it's so terrible.
This whole sequence would have looked so much better if they had just done stop motion effects.
And then the dragon and the Hydra begin doing martial arts with one another.
But then you see it at the end of the film, and you wish to God you were blind.
Oh, yeah. This is the movie where Liu Kang turns into a dragon.
If you told me that they tried to do this in like 1988, I would have been like, okay, well, yeah, it makes sense. But no, even 9 years later, you got to keep in mind, this is like 4 years after Jurassic Park. And yes, this is not Steven Spielberg making this movie, but still, this is inexcusable.
This is legit like Windows 95 level of graphics. It looks atrocious.
Is this the worst CGI and special effects of the movie? Oh, it might be.
I do have to admit, like, the green screen work was pretty blatantly obvious. The CGI here, of course, dated even for then.
Like, holy shit.
Dated even for that.
I forgot about that.
If you don't have the budget for something like this, you need to change what you're trying to put on the screen.
Furthermore, you can only hope to be blessed with a rock to the head in hopes of damaging your short-term memory, so you'll never again be burdened with such memories.
And this is terrible.
I guess we should be grateful they didn't choose babalities. Like, my God!
During the Animality fight, Liu Kang is able to cut Shao Kahn, proving that he is now mortal. Shao Kahn's dad, who apparently was Shinnok. They never say it during the movie. I had no idea until I was going back and doing the prep work for Podcasters Assemble and Effin' Culture that he even had a name. Just figured it was Raiden's dad.
Then I guess the Elder Gods show up and have Kang and Khan duke it out one-on-one. I'm assuming without their powers.
Shinnok said that, well, this is the consequences for breaking the sacred rules of the tournament, and he does attempt to intervene and kill Liu Kang on Shao Kahn's behalf, but the other two Elder Gods, Water and Fire, stop him.
Like everything else in this movie, it's not explained.
Then say that the fate of the Earth shall be decided in mortal combat.
The spirit quest has all come to this. The song begins. A Belgian musician screams the words Mortal Kombat. And now Liu Kang must confront his fears, his desires, and his fate. He kicks it a bunch.
Oddly, though, we didn't hear the Mortal Kombat song until, like, almost the end.
Dun, 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 dun.
Cue the Mortal Kombat techno music.
So if you were wondering, like, sure, opening, whatever, but, like, when you're bombarded with it in the first one at every single turn, you almost got trained to go, well, where is it? Where is it?
At least it's got that going for it, I guess.
I love that the fate of the world isn't supposed to be some kind of, like, unchangeable cosmic flow in which living beings don't matter. It is, in fact, held entirely in place by copious amounts of violence.
The weakest finishing move is when Liu Kang flips backwards, hits Shao Kahn in the face with his feet, and then sends Shao Kahn flipping backwards onto some steps.
I don't really understand how Khan was defeated with a backflip kick to the face.
That is the final move of the final fight, just a backwards flip. I think that's a unfortunate missed opportunity to again end on what could have been a cool fatality or something other than just a flip. Liu is able to finally defeat Shao Kahn.
Shao Kahn dies, turns into a dragon. His leader becomes a Rubik's Cube.
And what the Why did Khan's pops get folded like a map?
And then Shinnok is banished into the Phantom Zone with General Zod, or probably more likely the Nether Realm, if I had to guess.
And just like that, without any explanation, everything's back to normal? Like none of it happened.
So I obviously the ending was, it wrapped it up. It wrapped it up, right?
It was all just a dream? What?
Earthrealm then immediately reverts back to its former state.
And suddenly, in a flash, Liu Kang finds himself back where he began. The temple of his family, a renewed man, having confronted his failings and emerged from his Nightwing spirit dream intact.
I mean, Jax found his inner beauty, Liu found his inner animal, we find out breaking the rules is bad, and we find out that Shinnok got sent to the Phantom Zone on Krypton, obviously.
Raiden is revived by the Elder Gods. He is now going to take his father's former position, so he's going from Thunder God to Air God? Was that what Shinnok was?
Wait, no, seriously? They're just gonna name drop Shinnok like that? So Shinnok was Shao Kahn and Raiden's dad all along? What is even happening?
We see San Francisco, Paris, and New York were saved. Sindel Sol appears to have also been saved, and she loves her daughter again.
We'll say that Sindel is kind of hot when she's not Elvira, though, at the end of the movie.
And Raiden's back from the dead. Katana's mom's no longer evil, and Johnny Cage is still dead. WTF.
His god is restored to life. His family has assembled to rescue him. and the object of his desire gives him a closed-mouth kiss that would have been tame for a church wedding.
Why do Raiden and Sindel get to come back, but Johnny doesn't?
Raiden somehow has an advanced screening of The Fast and the Furious that comes out in 2001 and begins to talk about how everyone needs to watch out for each other, take care of each other because we're all family now. He essentially takes all of Vin Diesel's lines from the Fast and Furious franchise and squeezes it into about 45 seconds.
And it ends just like the first one, with everyone laughing and hugging like they're the cast of Friends walking through a sunny field in Thailand for no damn reason.
I mean, all is well that ends well, right? So they all lived happily ever after in my mind.
End of the movie.
It has all become complete.
The movie ends in flames like the trash can fire it is.
And then we have techno again.
Mortal Kombat!
Da 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 da. Fort!
Luckily, there is no end credit scene. I almost kind of wish there was, just because that would have been hilarious. I will give them one thing. The Rammstein song during the credits is awesome. I'll give them points for that. That Rammstein song was probably the best thing about this pile of dog shit. Like a speck of glitter on top. Oh boy, that was something.
Okay, so that was Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
Welp, it's over, and I had to throw my TV away because I'll never be able to unsee that again.
Honestly, I didn't rewatch this film because I didn't want to be angry for 90 minutes.
Yeah.
I could tell that their budget on breaking humans through walls was at its all-time high.
How bad are the outfits in this movie? Welp, when Sindel is lying on her back, she has 2 sets of breasts.
But I can't, it did just seem to kind of take a step back even, which was kind of disappointing.
I touched on the 3 major things that stuck out as special effects, and the worst is either the demon or the animality fight at the end.
I mean, I don't get the over-reliance at many points in this film on CGI when they didn't have anywhere near the budget for any of it. I mean, if you're going to use CG, save it for like 2 scenes, but they're constantly having, like, even Shao Kahn does it, characters do these little crappy like special attack, and it always looks so bad, and it'll always cut to a character with like a camera, like an upshot, the camera's down looking up, and somebody's flying across the screen into like some really crappy bricks.
But again, if you laugh and smile at a thing, that's still considered a good time, right?
This movie is shite.
It's just constant.
Pure and simple.
Really poorly landed, poorly placed, and poorly written one-liners.
I know the first film had some writing issues here and there, and clearly there was more for Annihilation.
Finally, the plot really doesn't make sense. That's saying much for a Mortal Kombat movie. But it's basically saying the tournament that all the realms agree on to settle disputes a la Robot Jocks doesn't mean diddly squat, and the Elder Gods only want to see carnage. In fact, in the end, the gods are like, we do not want to interfere. Motherfucker, that's all you've done up till now. One of your own son is doing all of this. No, I don't care if they brought Raiden back to life. They just failed at whatever type of gods they were. I mean, even Cthulhu has like a creed.
It just has such a amateur. That's exactly what it is. That's what, just put my finger on it. Everything about this movie feels very amateurish, whereas the previous one sucks but like has charm. This one has nothing. It's not charming. There's nothing about it redeeming. It's just there. It's like someone lit it on fire and left it on your doorstep.
I did get plenty of laughs at the need to jump roll everywhere for most of the cast, because clearly jump rolling is so much faster than left foot, right foot.
So again, what's up with this cast, man? You get Rain and like out of nowhere, Nightwolf is in it and then just isn't anymore. Shiva, Motaro, Ermac. I mean, no Kintaro? Come on, man. I can't be the only one with love for Kintaro. No Cabal. I mean, I would even have taken Stryker. If you can't have Johnny Cage, a generic white guy, give me Stryker. You know what? Actually, maybe that's for the best, that there's no Stryker or Kintaro or even Cabal, because God knows what they'd be like in this one.
And, I feel like they did almost to their demise. Lots of throwbacks to the game.
We get a bunch of signature moves from the characters, but overall, this movie does fall flat into an exploding volcano.
They actually used the same exact sound effects from the arcade game during the first fight, and even some of the same move effects, including but not limited to Raiden's flying gibberish attack, Johnny Cage's green energy sidekick, and Shao Kahn's shoulder slam. And it all just looks and sounds just so awful.
But I guess if you're in it for that kind of fan service, it might work out really well.
The fights and the special effects, and I don't just mean the CGI, but the special effects in general are really terrible. But on top of that, the acting, the look, the crappy effects, all that, you could almost forgive it if the fights were really cool or inventive. And they're just not. They're all really lazy and just shitty. Part of that might be because the actors can't fight for shit. But dude, whew.
So those were, I would imagine, the best I can come up with was my favorite moments.
Was originally supposed to have a third movie, but it tanked so bad, the third movie was immediately canceled.
There was a third one planned, and they were going to bring back the original Raiden and Johnny Cage, presumably resurrecting Johnny Cage somehow. This is sci-fi, so it's not that out of the realm of possibility to believe that this is possible. But it didn't get made because this movie was so bad that it destroyed Mortal Kombat as a film property for the next 20 years.
Annihilation had a lot of potential. Paul W.S. Anderson, who directed the original Mortal Kombat film, it was the first real successful live-action video game film. He knocked it out of the park. There was going to be a sequel, originally a trilogy. Unfortunately, Anderson wasn't available when Annihilation was being produced. He was busy working on Event Horizon.
Paul W.S. Anderson passed on directing this because he wanted to direct Event Horizon instead. I think that was a good call.
So he could not return. And unfortunately, when he saw what had happened to what he built, I think he learned a valuable lesson, and that was to stick with the franchise. He's done that with Resident Evil, another gaming franchise, not so much to do with the games, but a successful movie franchise, we'll give it that.
I'm pretty sure the guy who made this movie, and I honestly didn't care enough about it to look it up, but I'm pretty certain that the director was like a previous stunt coordinator or fight scene coordinator, and this is probably his first and only attempt at directing a movie. But damn.
So this movie is directed by John Leonetti, who was primarily a cinematographer. This is his first directing gig. He was the director of photography for MK1 and The Mask, but those were the only real credits on his resume at this point. He'd later go on to be the DP for The Scorpion King, the Insidious and Conjuring franchises, and Piranha 3D, which, in my opinion, is an underrated film.
I would have loved to see Anderson's version of Annihilation. Can we unleash the Anderson verse? That's a thing, right?
So I didn't realize this. There have actually been 2 live-action series that followed this. The first one I only recently found out about. Apparently it's called Mortal Kombat Conquest, and it looks bad. Like super low budget, late 90s Buffy meets Power Rangers ripoff bad. Then years later, before the games were rebooted in 2011, there was a live-action fan film called Mortal Kombat Rebirth that was a gritty take on the franchise, and it was so good that it inspired a whole mini-series called Mortal Kombat Legacy, which I gotta say is probably the best live-action version of Mortal Kombat to date, at least before the new movie, that is. And as of this recording, we'll have to wait and see how that turns out.
I did find it entertaining, but if we're comparing the two together, yeah, MK95 is still the better of those two.
And yeah, the sets just so much better.
This movie had a budget of $30 million. It made $51.3 at the box office. I don't know where the $30 million went for this budget.
That is where all the money went to in this movie, was set design.
I honestly think the filmmakers wrote up a budget of $30 million, pocketed $20 million, and the rest of that went to production.
And they took more money out of graphics.
And I'm being generous when I say that.
I tried to go into it not letting everything get to me because, again, this was my first time seeing it, and over the 20 years it's been in existence, I hadn't really heard a whole lot of people saying good things about it, and I love to go into it with a clean slate. I want to make my own decision. So I'm hoping none of those biases snuck in when I sat down to watch this.
If you enjoy bad films, you're probably going to enjoy this.
It was very bad, but if you are able to view the entire film as basically a hallucination of Liu Kang as he tries to come to grips with his own life, then it maybe starts to make sense. Don't know if that's what they had in mind when they created the movie, but it worked for me to help me get through this thing.
As long as you go in knowing that there's a reason it's got a 2% on Rotten Tomatoes.
But can I recommend it? I don't know.
I don't like this film at all.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's pretty bad, and it is pretty embarrassing on all fronts.
I mean, if you've got time to kill and you've never seen it and you can lean into, just the tomfoolery of it all, then fine, sure.
If you go in knowing it's going to be a bad film, you'll actually enjoy it.
But if you're looking for like this huge breakthrough movie, no, this won't be it.
Anyway, thank you guys so much for listening, and we will see you on the next one.
And next time we're watching the rated R animated film from 2020, Mortal Kombat Scorpion's Revenge.
The fighters will return in Mortal Kombat Scorpion's Revenge.
Which I gotta say is 1,000 times better than this movie.
So until next time, podcasters,
Get over here!
assemble.
Next time on Podcasters Assemble.
Harumi! Harumi! Enough! You'll die for this. You first.
Once a generation, there is a tournament.
Why would I fight for you?
Because he will be in attendance. I can send you there, Hanzo.
Hanzo is dead. Call me Scorpion. Let Mortal Kombat begin! I will win this tournament.
You gonna keep crying like a bitch or fight like a man?
Eat me, Buttercup. You are the only hope left for Earthrealm.
If Emperor Shao Kahn wins the 10th Mortal Kombat tournament,
Then you all die. Get over here! We ain't gonna never stop.
holy shit!
Good luck trying to catch us. We ain't gonna never stop.
Man, is she hot!
Goro! Finish him.
Mortal Kombat Legends, Scorpion's Revenge.
This thing better not go straight to video.
On digital and Blu-ray.
Podcasters Assemble is a production of the We Can Make This Work, Probably Podcast Network. Find more of our shows at probablywork.com and learn how to contribute to future episodes of Podcasters Assemble by looking us up on Twitter and Instagram at Casters Assemble or joining our Discord page, link in the show notes. Submissions are always open. Intro and outro written by Eric Slater. Music by Deathstroke Sound. You can find more of his music on Instagram at Deathstroke Sound and on Twitter at Deathstroke1. This episode was edited by Eric Slater. Thank you to everyone who was able to contribute to this episode. Be sure to check out the show notes for links where you can find them all online. Thank you.
This has been a presentation of the We Can Make This Work
Probably Network.
Follow us on Twitter
at Probably Work for more of our questionable content.
Also, we have a website called probablywork.com.
Test. Audacity sucks.
I tried to be as positive as I could. It was a rough film, and I forgot how rough it is.
Johnny Cage says, "This is not good." No shit. Like, his line delivery is so half-ass. Like, it's not only an understatement, but like, it's like... It's like Johnny Cage is basically breaking the fourth wall here. Just Johnny Cage is basically breaking the fourth wall and talking directly to the audience.
If there's one note to leave with, it is that the greatest combat in this entire film was Sonya's shirt trying to keep those nipples in check.
Something that just drove me crazy the entire time watching this right off the bat, and it's pretty consistent throughout the entire film, is these random strobe effects and lightning strikes, like constantly.
She was, in fact, wearing a bra or something, because you can see it in one of the down shirt shots. But whatever they did, it was just support, and it was not doing anything to actually cover her nipples for this entire movie. It is very prevalent, literally from the first moment you see her. It's just Sonya nipples.
And there's this weird, like, crappy, B-movie sound effect of, like, when it strikes constantly. And it's just, it's so distracting and so annoying. I mean, yes, any distraction from the garbage that's being put on screen is usually welcome, but this is a bit much.
If I remember correctly, there is only one scene in this entire film in which you cannot see her nipples.
I don't understand its purpose. It doesn't seem to be hiding any cuts or anything like that. I mean, there's a million cuts in this movie to begin with, but I don't know. Doesn't make sense.
So I guess they were just keeping that set pretty cold, huh? They put Sub-Zero in charge of the thermostat, did they?
Did they really run out of cheap rubber foam padding and Did they really run out of cheap rubber foam padding? Did they really run out of cheap rubber? Did they really run out of cheap rubber foam padding and red spray paint? Did they? Did they really run out of cheap rubber foam padding and red spray paint?
Mortal Kombat. Dun, 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 dun.
But thank you so much for listening to my ramblings of Mortal Kombat Annihilation. And I just now saw the note here. So here's a podcasters assemble. I don't know if you can use that. Thank you again. Bye.
Oh, I hurt my throat doing that singing bit. Jesus Christ.
Mother. You're alive. Too bad you will die.